All right, everyone, welcome to this edition of Truth Noir. I had a different episode planned for tonight, but I received contact from a person who said he had some very sensitive information that he wanted to share with us. I don't know how credible it is, but I don't discriminate on this show. So I had him come on. He has wished to remain anonymous, so of course we're going to respect that. And so I, at this time, would like to introduce you to who is known to me as Dr. Liberty.
Thank you for having me on your program, Norm.
Well, thanks for being here, man. I know we tried to keep your voice anonymous as all, so I went down to the Toys R Us and picked that up for you. I hope it'll suffice.
It seems to be adequate. Thank you very much. Thank you. I would like to show my face, but I have to be careful, Norm. I have to be careful. I'm sure you understand that.
I do, absolutely. Is there anything, and I know we're keeping you anonymous here, is there anything that you care to share about yourself, for our viewing audience?
I'm a concerned citizen. I'm an American. I am a sovereign citizen, and I have walked many paths. I have had a varied background. I have been a pizza delivery man. I have worked in a NASA lab. I have done things that I probably shouldn't talk about. I've worked with people who know things. But mostly I would like to represent myself as a sovereign citizen, as an American, as a member of the Republic.
All right, excellent. Well, it seems like you've run the gamut of American experience as far as your labor history. What have you learned about the American consumer complex in general from that?
We are living in a control grid. I think you and I, from what I've heard about you, would probably agree on that.
In a control grid, did I hear you right?
Correct.
Like a kind of prison that people who don't know how to think for themselves are brought to and allowed to think that they're free in, but in fact are not, and just working themselves to death for no reason.
Yes, I would say that's correct. I think 97% of the population doesn't know why they are enjoying the things that they're enjoying, why they are consuming the things that they are consuming. And it is calculated more so than we would want to admit to ourselves, even when we know the truth.
Now, you said there was one statistic that you mentioned, 97% of people behave in this way. Does that have anything to do with the Roman numeral 3 that you are sporting on your hat there?
Historically, yes, in a historical context. If you put it into a historical context, yes.
And what would that historical context be?
Just in regards to the American population and who's awake, how many people.
So you're saying this has gone on throughout history, that only 3% of the people are really genuinely awake and are aware of the horrible things that are going on in the world?
Well, yeah, in a historical context, 3% of the United States, the pre-United States colonial population of this continent actually participated in the American Revolution and was willing to, was awake enough. I shouldn't say willing, because it's not people's fault that they're in chains mentally, but only 3% of pre-nation colonists understood and participated in what we now know as the American Revolution.
Well, that's very interesting that you say that, because that's almost completely.
That's why I have this on my hat.
Well, I appreciate that. That seems almost completely contrary to what most of the American public has come to know as fact about the Revolutionary War, that participation in it was much more widespread than that, closer to 50 or 60% actually taking up arms. So how is it that you have come by the information that you're sharing with me right now? that is so far different from what the textbooks have to say.
Well, I mean, rather than sit here and we have 40 minutes, I don't want to sit here and cite historical sources for you, but let me just say this. How many things that you know to not be true do the majority of the population think differently about? How many things have we been educated on that we know are lies?
Well, that's a fair statement, and I would tend to agree with you there. There are certainly things that have been happening recently that lead me to think that that kind of attempted government control is much more widespread than most people have any idea of, or that even I myself might. Um, but yeah, we see little markers of this in you know, these horrible tragedies in France, and it just seems to be a parallel of 9/11 as far as certain key events and details of the you know, what you come to know as the official story. Do you know anything about that from your various sources? Only the alien is behind you, and he doesn't care what either of us thinks. So.
This is why I'm wearing a mask. You are a brave man, Norm. You touch on some very touchy subjects and very you're going places that are dangerous to talk about.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Well, like you said before, we're both concerned citizens, and there's some serious
You
shit.
hide in the open, Norm. You hide in the open.
So what are some other things that you wanted to come here and share with us? What are some other particulars that are going on?
Well, yes, you're right. You're correct what you said earlier. To think that controlled events and controlled opposition is something that's only a product of the late 20th and 21st century would be incredibly arrogant to think that just because we live in this time, when biologically and evolutionary human beings haven't changed at all since Paleolithic times, or at least the Iron Age at best, then why would anything be any different, and why would we think that we haven't been lied to about events going as far back as, you know, perhaps the birth of he who you call Christ?
Well, yeah, or even before. There are some theories that say that we were bioengineered as a slave race just to mine gold for the you know, the gods who created us. That's the position held by Zechariah Sitchin here. I don't know if you're familiar with him or.
Yes, I'm familiar with Sitchin's work. Do you believe that Sitchin's translation of the Sumerian tablets was a truthful translation?
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, he's the only person that has, you know, claimed solely to be able to understand all of these languages, and so it is very difficult to surmise. You kind of have to take it on faith, you know, and I try not to take anyone on faith these days, but sometimes, you know, there's, you know, 1 + 1 = 2. Someone told you that a long time ago, and it seems to make sense. And so.
Yeah, I would say I have read Sitchin's work, and I would say that human beings seem completely out of step with the rest of nature on planet Earth.
For sure, in a number of ways.
So we have either evolved ourselves out of what we're supposed to be, or we're not supposed to be here in the first place. We're alien to this planet. I would say there's evidence to make a case for that.
Sure. In your opinion, is there any way, you know, because we're destroying the environment with, you know, many various practices worldwide, is there any salvation in this? Is there any, you know, thing that we can do to, you know, assuage what we're doing to ourselves politically, globally? The 3%. So do I understand this correctly in saying that there needs to be another revolution?
I would say that there has to be a revolution on some level, or many levels, if anything will change significantly. if there's going to be a significant change, there would have to be some revolutionary action. And what all we see, and again, I know a little bit of your work, and I think we would agree on this, all we see from both sides of this limited discourse that we've been locked into in this control grid is controlled fake revolution.
Yeah, it seems to be we keep revolting and the same, nothing ends up happening. It only appears to change for a little bit. Are there any world leaders out there? Is there anyone that you know who could potentially step into power that is actually familiar with these things that we're talking about, that would be able to make these changes, in your opinion?
Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin, am I hearing this correctly?
Correct.
So, to my understanding, Vladimir Putin was the former head of the KGB, has probably sent numerous dissidents to their deaths for disagreeing with him. And I would ask, why Putin?
Putin has an understanding of, as you said, what's going on behind the scenes, but he's also the only leader on the world stage who is standing up to the what you may call the Illuminati or the globalist or whatever kind of conspiracy, whatever name you want to put to that conspiracy. Putin is the only one who is standing up to it.
All right, fair enough. Now,
and defending Western civilization.
All right. With regard to Putin, you say he's fighting the Illuminati, and that is a topic I've been interested in broaching on the show. What is it exactly that the Illuminati are doing? Since you're anonymous here, are you able to possibly out any of these people so that we might possibly be able to mail them boxes of dog shit or, something?
People far smarter and far braver than I have named people. I mean, George Soros, anyone who's, Kissinger.
Sure.
All these people, these Nazis and these collaborators and these fascist, fear-mongering, power-hungry freaks who rule over us like multi-dimensional vampire people.
Multi-dimensional vampire people. Could you elaborate on that? Because that seems like completely way out to me. And, and one thing that I try to do on this show is I try to keep things on a level that, a lot of people are able to get on board and come with me, with as far as, building a base of understanding.
Do you think I've gone too far? Do you think that I'm overstating the gravity of our situation?
Well, there's certain things that are just very difficult for the majority of people to understand. Multi-dimensional vampires, help me out on this, please. Who is a multi-dimensional vampire?
Multi-dimensional may be too deep, but to believe when you look at the evil that is perpetrated by certain parties in this world, to believe that they are of the same race as us is hard. So perhaps they are multidimensional, or perhaps Stitcher was right and we're all descendants of a slave class and we're damaged and we're all just the product of gene splicing and we're just a bunch of fucking rejects.
Well, that could be, and when you look at humanity at large, it's kind of hard not to think that that's the case because there's so much going on in the world that could be stopped immediately if people were like, no, that's bullshit, stop it. But
that's what Putin did. Did you see his speech?
I haven't seen his speech, but I know him and the government of France are participating in bombing Syria these days. What are your thoughts on that? So you said that Putin.
But Putin's strong. He stands up to the bankers, and he does hunt, and he seems like the kind of guy you would want to hang out with, no?
I'd probably have a beer with him. You know,
You would have a beer with him.
he
Would you
rides.
have a beer with Kissinger or, you know,
Well,
Hillary Clinton or any of these people?
Well, no, because according to what you're saying, I would be afraid of being eaten by them because they are, as you said, multi-dimensional vampires. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting you know, concept. I don't know. I might be able to take Hillary Clinton in a fight, though. She doesn't seem all that tough. But you're saying that she would. What, like, if I were to fight Hillary Clinton, what do you think she would have the power over me to do?
I don't know. Her eyes, there's bloody eyes. I mean, have you ever seen these people's eyes? Have you ever seen a close-up photo of George Soros? I mean, he looks like the guy from that show The Strain after he puts his makeup on.
Or V, where the people have the reptile eyes.
Yes.
So now, Vladimir Putin is a.
This is a Jewish guy who admittedly made his money off of stealing art from dead Jews and turning Jews into the Nazis. Took the art, sold it, became a millionaire, and now supports weird destabilization schemes all over the world with his millions. This is what we're talking about.
George Soros has done all of these things.
Yes.
Is there, now I want to go back to Putin for a minute. Is there a person leading some country in the world right now that is his match as far as being able to fight these multi-dimensional vampires?
Only Putin, as far as I can see. He is the only man who seems to stand up against the globalists.
All right, awesome, man. What else is going on in
Do you disagree with my theory?
No, I respect it as your opinion, and I certainly hope that there's someone in the world that is able to, you know, get the damn thing done.
The guy from Hungary is pretty cool.
Seems to be. What was his name again?
I'm not sure, but he's standing up for his sovereignty at least. I'm a sovereign citizen. I respect people who stand up for the sovereignty of themselves or their people.
And Hungary was one of the growing number of nations to kick out Monsanto, right?
He kicked out Monsanto, and people forget about that because all they want to look at is the fact that he wants to put up a fence to keep out barbarian hordes from storming his country and repeating what happened to Rome.
So, am I to understand that in your term barbarian hordes, are you talking about the current refugee status that is going on right now?
I will not call it that.
You won't call them barbarian hordes, or you won't call them refugees?
I will not call it the refugee crisis.
Okay, and why not? I mean, it seems like it fits the bill of a refugee crisis. There's a bunch of people leaving their homeland, going to these other places. Seems like most other times.
That could just as well be called a vacation.
That could, but on a mass scale like that?
Okay, but, you know, refugees, I don't know.
So millions of refugees, millions of Syrian vacationers.
They're not Syrians. It's a small percentage of them are Syrian.
Well, where are all the rest of them from?
Exactly.
All right, now you're losing me. I mean, all of the statistics are saying that the because of the conflict that's going on in Syria, people are leaving Syria and going to other places, some of whom have unfortunately carried out violent acts against their hosts.
Very sensitive information.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
This is very sensitive information.
Well, if you're unable to share any further, how about if we change the subject? Appreciate the discourse on that.
Yes.
What else are you able to share with me? What is another thing that you've come to know from your sources?
Well, going off of Zechariah and his work, perhaps we can talk about some ancient tech.
Sure. Well, that was actually what my original episode was kind of geared around before I heard from you.
Now, what most people don't know is that there is proof of this stuff, and it's locked up. I mean, maybe you do know that. I don't know. I'm not trying to insult you.
Well, yeah, no, these are things that have, been found and oftentimes suppressed.
Yes, there is more suppression than we know about. than the public knows about as far as this stuff goes.
So let me run a couple of these by you,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we'll. So you're familiar with the Baghdad battery? We've talked about this on previous episodes of my show. That basically proves that ancient civilizations were using electricity for various things, and that's kind of out of accord with what you would think of as Stone Age people. What about these Vimanas? This is carved on a rock in India.
Yes. Yes, those were airships, and there is proof of that in the basement of the Smithsonian.
So you're saying there is a flying city under the Smithsonian?
They were not full cities. They were flying airships with missile weapons that worked on a thermonuclear reactor, and it was that's where they got the power from, and that's how the missiles. And yes, there is at least a partial ship in the Smithsonian.
Interesting. I know there's been other stuff that's being suppressed in the Smithsonian.
Yes, there are many skeletons of giants.
Yeah, I had a picture of one of those being excavated.
Well, what was that? That was pretty cool. Go back.
This is a picture of a Stegosaurus, or at least what appears to be a Stegosaurus, on a temple that is about 3,000 years old, before the time of archaeological exploration.
Are you trying to say that evolution didn't happen and that people lived with dinosaurs? Norm Davis, is that what you're saying? Because that's what that Stegosaurus, I think that's a pig. Because I know that that's not true.
I don't know. I don't think it's a pig, man. I don't think pigs would be able to. I don't know of any pig fossils that had the back plates.
Look, the battery's a battery. The light bulb's a light bulb. That's a fucking pig. That's not a fucking Stegosaurus.
No, man. I don't know. I think it's. I think that as much as the Westboro Baptist Church assholes have gotten wrong, I think this might be one of those, and keeping an open mind and being like, oh, evolution.
Why don't you just go to that museum where they have people riding dinosaurs and they hand you King James Bibles when you walk out? Why don't you just go there and do your show there?
Well, I approached them and they said my show was too radical, but I told them that I agreed with them on the 6,000-year Earth and the Stegosaurus living at the same time as humanity, and they weren't buying it.
Excuse me.
So, all right. So you say pig. I say Stegosaurus.
That's a pig.
All right. Well, there's certain other things also. The temple is 6,000 years old, or 4,000 years old, and it's a fucking Stegosaurus, dude. So, all right. So explain this one to me.
Do you realize I might not get home alive? I came here to speak to you. I may not get home alive, and you're showing me a carving of a fucking pig.
Well, yeah. Well, I thought it was a Stegosaurus, man. I didn't mean to put your safety in jeopardy. I mean, you did that to yourself. And I appreciate you being here, but it's a Stegosaurus, man.
Is my head on straight?
Yeah, you look fine. The patch is a little crooked. I'm just kidding.
Okay, let's move on.
All right. So, what we have here is a block of.
Yes.
So this is diorite stone, and a perfectly.
Everybody knows this. Yes. What are you, George the coolest? Yes.
My hair isn't nearly awesome enough to be George. I can't even pronounce his name, but
He's not a bad guy, actually.
No, is he one of your multi-dimensional vampires that you were telling
That's
us
a
about?
metaphor for power-hungry pigs. Much like the pig
You mean
that you
Stegosaurus?
had on the platform.
Are they multi-dimensional stegosaurs, perhaps?
This is a drill hole.
Right.
Is this from Gobliateki?
I believe so, yes. Go Begli Tepe.
And Begley Tepe
Right, that one.
is the building 7 of ancient tech. That's what I always say.
Building 7 referring to 9/11, the building that collapsed into its own footprint at controlled demolition speed.
2 blocks away from where the planes hit. Correct.
Right. So how does this represent Building 7?
It's the smoking gun. There's no way that that was done with stone chisels and fingers. That had to have been drilled by a power tool of some sort.
Of course, in that we agree. Is it your position that this was made by a highly technically advanced ancient pig?
Maybe.
All right, moving right along.
Did you ever read the Cerebus comics?
The what?
Cerebus.
Cerebus.
It
No.
was a pig.
Cerebus was a pig?
Really? You never read the Cerebus comics?
No.
You're into all this shit? You never read Cerebus?
No, well, you know, it's a lot of material to get through. It's thousands of years, and I'm doing the best I can.
That's from the 80s.
Before my time.
Nobody believes that.
So we have these ancient light bulbs here that,
Yes, those, I believe, and that is the battery that they're plugged into. Yes.
yeah, so that's pretty way out, right?
Yeah, that's anyone who doesn't believe that that's a light bulb is, you know,
Clearly possessed by trans-dimensional pigs.
I have them. I have a marathon bombing story to sell them.
Really? Well, that is something that I'd like to hear about.
If they don't believe that that's a light bulb, but I can't talk about that tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I won't press you on it. I know I've put your safety in danger already by being here. So,
That is razor blades. Those are razor blades. I've had razor blades. Come on, those are razor blades. Razor blades.
all right. Well, it seems like they don't seem like they're sharp enough to be razor blades.
What do you? That's a microchip. What are you saying?
Yeah, microchip, like for an
Where was
ancient.
this found? I've never seen this.
I think this was in Russia.
Do you think Putin knows about this?
Well, I would sincerely think so. I mean, based on your, you seem to hold him in pretty high esteem. I'm going to assume that Putin knows about this.
Have you ever seen a picture with Putin with his shirt off?
It's pretty majestic, honestly. Like there's the one where they put him riding the bear. Also, that's.
You can't argue it. I want you, when this goes to air, I want you to put in a picture of Putin with his shirt off on a horse.
A horse. Okay. Well, I think we should kind of try to bolster him up. If you're saying that he is the anti-Illuminati warrior that you say, we should Photoshop him on a bear.
Do you think that Putin is part of the plan and he's just controlled opposition? Is that what you think, Nora Davis?
You know, I certainly hope that there is someone out there willing to fight these trans-dimensional,
Who is it? Who do you think it is? Bernie Sanders? Is that your Jedi warrior?
No, I don't think that. I don't think Bernie Sanders would have the ability or the physical strength to fight a trans-dimensional stegosaurus.
Do you want to talk about trans?
Trans or trends?
Trans.
Like trans people?
Trans people.
Sure. Yeah. What do you know about trans people?
Well, Bruce Jenner is controlled by George Soros. Bruce Jenner's operations were paid for through a fund set up by George Soros. The same money that goes to the Black Lives Matter movement, the same money that did Occupy Wall Street, none of that worked. So they took Bruce Jenner and they put a pair of tits in him, and that's what they're doing now.
Are you sure that that Bruce Jenner did not elect to have that surgery done because his wife is such an insufferable cunt. That the only way of escape for him was to mutilate his, like,
So you do agree it's a mutilation?
well, I mean, for some people, I think maybe that they genuinely feel that that's what is going to make them feel right. But with Bruce Jenner, no, I gotta definitely go with the proposition that it was just because, you know, Kim Kardashian and her mother are just such insufferable pieces of garbage.
You are so naive.
Well, you know, I think my story is a lot more palatable, believable, and actually apparently true than all of that you just said. I mean, is it your official position that you're disagreeing with me that Kim Kardashian is a horrible cunt?
I've never met Kim Kardashian.
Well, I mean, just from what you've been able to gather from their TV show.
Go back to me. Go back to me. I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm a red-blooded American male. Kim Kardashian has a great fucking body. That's what I know.
Given the scenario, as is
Maybe you're not a man. Maybe you don't like a woman with a little meat on her.
no,
I don't know.
I'm not saying that. If you know, if it were any other personality in that body, I would definitely, you know, be in agreement with you. Given the scenario, as oftentimes gets presented, of if you had the chance.
Why are we off the subject of Bruce Jenner's transformation being funded by globalist sources to help change and eradicate our culture and take us closer to collapse, thus letting in the barbarians and leading to the fall of Rome while Nero plays golf?
Well, you know, I still am, you know, kind of torn between the two, because you know, there's Kardashians, man. I think they are more responsible for tearing this nation apart. You know.
Okay, but Jenner's part of the Kardashians, is he not?
Well, maybe not by choice. Maybe you know, I don't know, man. And I appreciate the conjecture, but I choose to maintain that.
This is not conjecture. This is not conjecture. Why does he still have his penis?
Does he? I thought he had it removed.
Negative.
Have you seen this personally?
I know people who have.
Very interesting. Well, there you have it, folks. Someone
He's
wondered.
holding on to his penis, so once he cashes out, he can get the mutilations removed from his breasts, and then retire at Turks and Caicos.
Interesting. Do you believe that Michael Jackson is living there?
Michael Jackson is dead,
What about Tupac Shakur?
but he was also a transgender.
Ah,
Michael Jackson.
well, that's interesting. Do you think that Michael Jackson and Caitlyn Jenner were working towards some Illuminati end that we are, you know, kept in the dark about?
Who is Caitlyn Jenner?
Well, Bruce Jenner's most recent, you know, transformation. Like a Pokemon, except without the evolution, but with surgery. What powers do you feel that Caitlyn Jenner has gained over Bruce Jenner by having this done?
He can have sex with Charlie Sheen now.
That's true. You know, I heard it said that a new statistic that I just heard that now fully 1 out of every 2.5 men is HIV positive. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get on board with all of this new information that you're sharing, but it's a lot. I mean, you're telling me that a fucking
Has
stegosaurus
Charlie
is a
Sheen not
pig.
always stood up for truth? Was Charlie Sheen not 9/11 truther? Has Charlie Sheen not usually been on the right side of things politically? intellectually,
and sexually.
philosophically, and sexually.
Well, you know, it seems
And
to,
all of a sudden, he's got HIV. Out of all the people that could have caught HIV, why Charlie Sheen? Think about it.
well, what if he doesn't die from it? I mean, he's also rich enough to, you know, have the Michael or the Magic Johnson cocktail,
Yes, but
and he's down
besides
to
the
like
point,
one
why did they
aid
give it to him?
now.
Why did they give it to him?
Who says he didn't catch it from a porn star?
I don't.
I mean,
You're drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
he's been known to cavort with many women, you know, and smoke the crack rock, and so it just seems like it might be possible. You know, it's
Very convenient, very, very convenient, isn't it? So convenient.
on a scale of 1 to
I
74.
am saying that Charlie Sheen has been infected with a weaponized virus because he is an enemy of the Council on Foreign Relations.
So do you think this is an attempt by the government to get rid of porn stars?
Charlie Sheen is a sovereign citizen and he has been infected with a weaponized virus.
To what end? Do you think they have the cure and they're trying to make
So that he
him...
won't speak out about 9/11, so that he won't speak out about anything other than AIDS, and HIV, and transgenders.
Well, that is a lot to take in. You know, I'm still bummed out about the Stegosaurus, though, man. Like, you keep saying it's a pig.
Let's go back to it. I'll take another one.
Okay. I'd really appreciate it, man, because, you know, it's,
No, I like you, Norm Davis. I'll take another look at your pig.
Stegosaur. You see, it's got, like, the back plates, you know?
We're talking about the one in the middle?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a fucking elephant, or like a pig.
Well, which is it? Is it an elephant or a pig?
It's not a fucking Stegosaurus.
I say Stegosaurus still.
I don't see it. Why do you want there to be dinosaurs at the same time as humans? What does that mean to
I don't
you?
know, man. I just think...
Do you not believe in evolution? Are you that much of a believer in Zach Stitchen's theories?
No, man. I just think it would be fun. Tell me you wouldn't want
Okay,
to...
I'm not here to have fun.
You wouldn't want a Stegosaurus to ride around and do battle with other dinosaurs?
Sure, that's besides the point, but you know, absolutely. And in some locations in Central America, they have Stegosauruses and they are riding around on them, and the scientists have already gene spliced and cloned, and these exist.
What I want to ask you now, Dr. Liberty, would you like to take a vacation with me to South America and ride a Stegosaurus?
Yes, but I don't know if I could get us into the facility. I'd have to make a few phone calls. The people that I know are more on the security end of things down there. They protect the facilities. I have a lot of connections in that realm.
What about...
But I can see what I can do. Maybe on a weekend we can get a hall pass or something.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
pictures.
yeah. Because I've been looking to get out of the studio for a while, and you know, if you insist that you know that let me get back to the picture, that is an actual stegosaur now. Finally, I would like to go and ride one with you. Maybe we can take some friends and leave the whole conspiracy theory, concerned citizen truth. You're sure there's stegosaurs?
There is a Jurassic Park, yes.
All right, cool. Is it fucked up like
Do you
in
not
the
know
movie?
this? Do you not know about the Jurassic Park?
Well, no, I've heard
You
rumors,
think
but
that this is just a fucking movie by some fucking guy who makes these movies?
no. Well,
Oh, the one good German. Oh, let's save Private Ryan.
you know what my favorite part was?
That guy?
Was when the guy's daughter, that was a gymnast, did a roundhouse around the bar and kicked the velociraptor in the face.
Is that the first one?
That was the second one.
I'm a purist.
They just keep getting
I'm
worse
all
and
about the
worse.
canon. I stick to the first one.
Yeah, yeah, fair. But the first one doesn't have a
Great
velociraptor.
film.
Doesn't have a velociraptor getting kicked in the face by a 10-year-old child.
All right, maybe we can watch that together sometime.
Cool, man. Well, tell you what, that's about all the time we have in this episode, so...
Well, that went pretty fast. Did you feel like you asked me everything you wanted to ask me?
You know, man, there were a couple things that I don't feel like we got to, but I don't feel like we have enough time to get to them. So maybe another time, if you're willing to put your life and general safety on the line again and come talk to me. Or maybe, you know, we could, you know, get like a webcam and, you know, a hotel room in South America after we've ridden the Stegosaurus and talk about some other stuff and maybe do a remote shoot.
Maybe. If I'm still alive next week, you know, maybe I'll come back and talk to you some more.
Alrighty, well...
Norm, I don't know from day to day what my existence is going to be.
Well, tell you what, if you could make those phone calls, you know, as soon as possible, then, you know, because I really would hate to, you know, miss the opportunity to ride a Stegosaurus just because you did something selfish and got yourself killed.
I understand. This is all about you. This has somehow turned into a man's desire to see a dinosaur. Well, we're supposed to be talking about the NWO, man. I thought we were going to talk about NWO.
Well, I feel like we pretty much got to the bottom of that. We learned who the Black Pope is, right? George Soros. And I didn't know, this was before I knew that there was a live Stegosaurus. And, you know, I'll admit, we got a little off topic, but now I want to ride one. And you have the ability to make it happen.
Maybe.
I'll take it.
We have to go on a Friends and Family Day when they let the staff, the security staff, bring the families.
Oh, sure.
And might be able to slip in then if I call a buddy.
All right. Well, let's make that happen in the meantime, and we are just about out of time. So I want to once again thank Dr. Liberty for joining us and sharing his you know, vast wealth of knowledge. We're looking forward to having him on again. So thank you very much, Dr. Liberty. And in closing, wherever you're going, get there safe. Catch you next time.